Welcome to the Modern Eco Village. We are building a community in the south of Spain for 500 households, a complete community focused on health, sustainability, and community interaction. Our goal is to create a green oasis where we can upgrade different aspects of our lives, get closer to nature while keeping the modern comfort and technology. So listen up.
Welcome to the Modern Eco Village podcast. My name is Alisa. I'm the community manager here, and I'm joined by Kaitlyn.
Hello.
And by Cassie.
Hello.
And then behind the mic, we have Janku.
Hello.
He always uses his deep voice when he's behind the mixer.
It's a nice radio voice right there.
Right? And today we're not talking about radio voices, but we are talking about a little bit more about the concept today, because I feel like in the last weeks we focused a lot about the houses and we started reservations, which is really exciting. So it's a lot about the architecture, about the construction, things like that. But we wanted to talk a little bit this week about what is the actual concept behind the Modern Eco Village? Why is it not just building houses, but what makes it so special? Why is it that we were all drawn into this? Because we can have nice houses anywhere, right? But the concept is, I think, the most important part of this project. So we want to talk a little bit today about community. That's the part that I was most drawn to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Cassie and I too, like when we first found out about the project, we had been traveling for some time and living in different places, and I think that was always a hardship for us, was even if the place was amazing and it was the ideal location and the clean food, and if all of our other boxes were checked, there was still one that was missing, and every time it was community, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been really interesting to see how that's been a common thread everywhere we go. Yeah. And so when we first heard about the project, we thought, wow, this is exactly what we've been needing and craving, because I think, traveling and to a certain extent or to a certain age, that's okay. You can go enjoy and visit new places. But I think we were left feeling a bit empty when we didn't have the connection in the community that we so needed in being in a new place, and maybe that resonates a bit for
I
you
think
too.
empty is a really good word. Yeah. True.
Do you feel that too?
Yeah, I certainly felt that too. I felt it had all of these wonderful places, all the beaches, all the beautiful places that you can travel to, and I was thinking about buying a house, somewhere in the middle of nature, because that's always something that I dreamt about. But then I kept coming back to, and then I'm sitting there by myself. I don't know. That's not what I want.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, like at some point it does sound really nice, but then, I mean, you kind of get bored, and you really want some friends and people to talk with, and that's something I also really resonate. I mean, even before traveling a lot, back in college, like in university, that was like a big thing for me. I actually struggled with depression, and like starting from my freshman year, you just leave your school, your friends, and then you're starting this new life, trying to figure out who you are. And that was a big cause of my depression and just other things that I was dealing with, because I was trying to find my tribe, the different clubs and organizations, and I know they had like sororities and different things like that, but it was really hard for me to find people that I actually connected with. And that is also what really brings both Kaitlyn and I to this project, is because we actually get a sense of community here, but it's not just people that you're living with, it's your friends, and you have you share similar interests and passions, and and everyone's for the most part open-minded to the different things of this world, and so that is something that I was dealing with. And there's actually a study, it's by Haslam and colleagues. I might be saying this wrong, Alisa. I know you're really good at this, but I know there was a meta-analysis about how you can reduce the sense of, or lower the risk of depression and anxiety and these other different mental health aspects by being in community, like having a sense of community and belongingness significantly reduces that within people.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because we're humans and we are social creatures. We're not meant to be alone. And we're not meant to be in an individualistic culture and society like we are now. So that's...
I think it's so interesting that you mentioned that, and I know that you and we both talked about this also, the sense of belonging when we came down here to Spain, right? Because you've been living somewhere else, I've been living somewhere else, and we came for this project, we came down here to Spain, and I know you and we talked a lot about the sense of belonging and how much it helped already having the start of the community situated here, because it helped us land so much more. And I think it was so probably the same for you. We didn't talk about it as much with you, Kaitlyn, yet, but that's...
It's a big thing. And even, like moving here, like that was, like you said, like that was a big thing. And even for yourself, I know when you moved here, it was more than like 5 months ago now. But I know you're also dealing with similar things with not having community, and it really does make a difference. Even just one person or two people that you can rely on and you can go to and talk to about whatever.
And I think it's so beautiful already to see how we're still a small team here, right? But the sense of community is already very strong here, and we have so many people who are interested in the map, who want to see the plot, who want to meet the team, who are already moving down here, even though we haven't built any houses yet. They're not complete yet, but people are already moving down here because of that, because they want to be a part of this community. And already it feels so nourishing to me. And I'm mind blown sometimes if I think, well, we're very few people now, but then later on we might be over 1,000 people. And that's really, I really look forward to this really nurtured feeling of there are always going to be people around us that are like-minded, that we can feel supported by.
I love that.
That's really great. And I also think too, this sense of community it's being revealed so quickly on in the project, like so soon. We've already had for our members, we're already collaborating with them. We have calls every weekend, neighbor calls. We are beginning to build together other facets of other parts of the project, and so seeing everyone come together before this project is even, like lifted off the ground in a physical sense. It's so cool to see that sense of community is there immediately from the start.
It is funny that you mentioned that, Kaitlyn, because I think it was last week or the week before, we were slowly people trickled into the Zoom call of the weekly neighborhood call that we do, and people started teasing each other a little bit because they already start to get to know each other, even though they might have not met in person. Some people know each other from the MEV gatherings where you can come in person, but some of them have only met each other during those weekly calls, and they're getting really comfy with each other. They're starting to visit each other in their homes and so on. It's really beautiful to see what already has started.
It seems like a ripple effect, and it's going to be even greater than we think. So
I think that's also what makes it such a unique project, is because there are lots of different eco villages around the world, and one of the things that makes us so different is that we do get to establish that community before we even move in. And usually it happens like the other way around, where the community and everything is built, and then you meet your neighbors, and but I think that's what's really special about this.
Really shaping it from the ground up.
Well, maybe let's talk a little bit about this sense of community too in families, right? It's so important. We'll touch on a few different topics, but one thing that I feel really passionate about, even though I'm not a parent yet, is this idea of raising children in community. And I just see so much in present day society. We live very on an individualistic basis, and it is so tough for current parents between balancing their job and trying to balance the household, and a lot of times their mental health is struggling, and they just can't do it all, even though society has told us that we can do it all. And so I think parents are meant to have this support beyond their own parents, right? Because in a lot of families too, the grandparents will take over and they'll help out, but it's bigger than that. From the time that civilization has existed, we've been able to rely on community to raise a child. And so I think that this is something revolutionary here, that we are bringing back these ancestral ways of raising children in a community, and so that the parents, not only for the parents to feel more supported, but for the child to come out developmentally stronger. And this actually ties into a study by Cohen and colleagues that references how for the child's outcome, it's actually far better for them to be surrounded by adult figures, to have like a trusted adult presence outside the nuclear family. And there's a quote that I really love that I'm going to share. It says, "We're biologically wired to raise children with help. Community isn't optional. It's a parenting system."
Yeah, that's really
Isn't that
beautiful.
so good?
I love that.
Yeah. And I think that's that's how we're wired. That's what we're meant to do. And for me, I get really excited when I think about how parents will exist in this community, and if they need to go out, for example, and take do some errands, they can just have their kids play with the neighbors for a while. They don't have to necessarily get a babysitter. Or if they want to go on date night, maybe the kids just sleep over at the neighbor's house. And, these are essentially their friends' houses as well. And so I just see something really beautiful coming of this. And
I think it's so many more instances, right? It's just the everyday life of having children run around the streets, because for example the streets are not going to be run over by cars. We're going to have a pedestrian friendly community, so the children can just be outside, and it's they're going to explore, they're going to be able to go to the neighbor's house, and when somebody's cooking, I know this sounds like so cliche, but it's true, when somebody's baking cookies or something like that, and they smell it and they go to the neighbor, and it's okay, and it's not just parents having to organize this play date for the next, Tuesday, or maybe in 3 weeks Tuesday, for these kids to meet up for an hour. But kids get to actually run around the village. Kids get to interact with other people that are not just their parents. And I think it's a whole lifestyle that changes.
It's that sense of safety too. And I think that's like a big thing with communities, is how there's this sense of security and safety that you have within your neighbors, because there is this invisible, I guess, trust that we share with everyone. Because if you think, one of our goals is to be able to live in the village with not having to worry about locking our doors and just making sure everything's locked. And I think we're so used to doing that because of the state of the world right now, and it's doesn't feel safe because we don't know our neighbors, so no one's there to vouch for us or to look after our house or belongings or things like that. But in the village, I think that's also why community is really important, because there's this sense of safety. You can let your kids run around, like you said, and you trust your neighbor, your friend, to that they are going to be in good hands. So that's what I also really appreciate about that.
And there's a sense of responsibility that the whole community kind of has for its children also. Obviously the main responsibility is still with the parents, but if I'm in community, and I have lived in other communities too, if there are kids there, it's natural to, if they're doing something, I'm going to help them with something, because we have a sense of belonging. We are a community. Of course, we're going to help each other out. If I saw a kid just running around here, I would feel like I'm overstepping, because I don't know the parents, I don't know the kid, I don't know if that is wanted. But in a community, there's a sense of course, we're all going to do things together. So, I think that really changes things.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I feel like we're going to be creating a new generation, or the children in the Modern Eco Village will be growing up with just a different childhood than most. And I get super excited because I'm like, this is how we grew up, where we got to play on the streets until it got dark and the doors were unlocked. We could just run in whenever we needed something. So that makes me really excited for them, for us, for everyone.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Well, I'd like to share one thing that I'm super excited about around community. because I've also been traveling a lot in the last years. And something I really missed is I have a wonderful community, friends back at home, a wonderful support system. I'm still in contact with a lot of them, and I feel I'm somebody who talks a lot. Like, I have these deep conversations with friends, so sometimes I call a friend and we talk for 4 hours or something like that, and I feel really good afterwards. I feel juiced up, and I'm like, yes, I love this person, and I feel so lucky I'm friends with them. And it's a wonderful feeling, but it kind of fades away after maybe a day or so. And so I got really curious why I have such wonderful friendships all over the world, but I still feel lonely sometimes. And there's actually studies that also show this, but I also see this in my practice as a psychologist. I talk with this a lot with my clients also, that it's the everyday interactions that are so important. It's wonderful to have a community that is, for example, online, or all of my friends that I have from college, for example, we all go back to different cities. Even if I was still living in Germany, I would not be living close to them. And even if they were living in the same city as some of my childhood friends, we all live, or most of them live around Munich, but nobody lives close to me that I could just walk over. I could just walk to the bakery and stop by on the way to the bakery, but it's okay, I have to drive for 1 hour or something like that to see my friends, and it makes a huge difference. It feels so supportive and so I don't know, I always call it kind of like a nest. It feels like a made nest that you can just kind of feel nurtured. When you know I can just call somebody and this person could be over in a minute because we live almost right next door. And there have been studies shown that just the hello from the person in the bakery, if that is something that is consistent, it can boost our well-being more than having these really close, deep friendships if they're virtual. Because it's wonderful to have virtual friends, and I feel very grateful for the ones that I have, for example, but it does not... it's not the same as having people every day around. And I think that's really, really beautiful about the MEV, because we're not creating a virtual communities. These are wonderful, and there's many of them, but for me, it's important to have people I see every day, that I get to interact with every day. And these are also casual connections, and not just, okay, I'm going to sit down with this person, I'm going to block my calendar for 5 hours so I know I can have a deep conversation with them, right? But it's the, okay, I walk to the lake, for example, to take a quick dip in there, and I meet this person that I haven't talked to in a week, and we just chat for 5 minutes, and then maybe I swim in the lake and there's another person that I meet in the lake and we're chatting for 5 minutes, This is a very different quality of connecting with people, and I'm really, really looking forward to that kind of connecting.
Yes. I feel like we have like a miniature version of that here in Spain, actually.
Yes,
it's
we're already creating
where
it.
we're at, because it's, when thinking about plants and things like that, like, I guess for Kaitlyn and I back in the States, we're so used to kind of having a plan because everyone's so busy. Like, you kind of have to, because there's just a million things. Everyone's working all the time, and then, you only have like a couple of days, the weekend, and no one, everyone's going to baby showers or whatever. And
baby showers.
I just thought about baby showers because one of my friends.
That's the era we're in right now.
The era we're in, and one of my friends is actually having one. But my point with that is that here we're slowly kind of coming into that, because here in Spain, we're all living so local and close to the office, and hopefully soon in Planes, and it kind of feels like that already, where we get to don't have to plan anything. We're like, hey, Alisa, what are you doing this week or just tomorrow, and we can go out for whatever. Like, it feels like that now, or even just like borrowing someone's car or whatever. Like, it's starting to already feel like that, and I think that's like just being physically close together makes that much difference.
I think Belinda talked to us about this, that in Norway there's this, I don't know if this was just her village or if that is a whole Norway thing. Maybe our mixer can help us with that, if that is true in all of Norway. But she said there was this concept in Norway that people just stop by the door. So they go somewhere and they just ring your bell and they stop by the door. And if you just chat for a minute or two, checking in, and if you want to you have more time, then you kind of invite them in for longer. And if not, it's no big deal. Then you just walk on to wherever you wanted to go. I don't know if that's a Norway thing, Janko, if you know that, or if that's just Belinda's village. But I love the concept of
it's
that.
100% not.
It's 100% not okay.
Probably that particular village, and that's it. It stops there.
Maybe we can adopt that.
Yeah,
Maybe
we can
adopt
make
that,
it a MEV thing.
Yes.
I like that. Like you can just leave it at the door if you're feeling more introverted that day. Or,
That was actually one of the things I wanted to mention too, is like, playing on the other end too, there's days where we don't feel, socially ready or don't want to talk to anyone or interact with anyone. And I thought about that, like for how that would look like for us in the MEV. And I also don't want people to think when they, come in or live in this community where like, oh my gosh, I have to be friends with everyone and I can't just go to the bakery like without seeing someone. Like there are some people and we have our days where we just really don't want to interact. And I think that's also welcome. Like, I think that's the beautiful part of living in community, because you really get the realness and the rawness of just being human and just like how we are. Like there's not a front, that you can, like if I come across you and I'm like, how's your day going? And you're like, honestly, I'm having a shit day. I'd rather not.
And we can do that because we see each other every day then, right?
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on that because I know that's something that I'm sure a lot of us have considered and feel like we don't want to be all like jolly happy all the time, because that's really not how it is anyway.
Yeah, totally. I think it does boost our feeling of authenticity if we're seeing people all the time. Then it's kind of like with siblings, right? Where you're getting more real.
Yeah, you see all the sides.
Yeah, you see all the sides to them.
Yeah. I also think about too that idea of being open to maybe having your day, like if you're not having a great day, but you run to the bakery, for example, and you see someone and then they genuinely are like, how are you doing? And sometimes I'm like, that might actually turn my day around. Or just knowing that someone cares and that if I wanted to talk to them, I could. It just feels like I'm held, even energetically, and that there's space. That just feels nice too.
It does.
That's true. Yeah.
I am so looking forward to this community. I mean, it's already starting,
Us
and
too.
I already love it. But I'm really looking forward to all of us being there and feeling good because we have people around that really care about the same things we are caring about.
Yeah. And knowing that we're taken care of in that way and like there is safety in that, I think that's a big thing, especially for young families. And I mean, everyone, honestly, even retired people like who just want to not worry about, they just want to feel safe and held in their own space without worrying about.
Actually, one thing that I wanted to say, I know I'm jumping into the next topic, but one thing that often people ask who already are retired, they ask, so what are we going to do in this community, right? Because they don't work anymore. Are we still going to be wanted in this community? And the answer is yes, definitely, because I think it's so beautiful how you see in communities how every single generation is needed and wanted for this to actually work. It's the different cultural backgrounds that we're going to have in the MEF are already going to be super diverse, but then also all of these different age groups is going to make the community actually run smoothly because we have people from such different backgrounds. If we're all I'm not saying that in a bad way, but if we're all the yoga teacher, in Costa Rica, and like we don't have that much diversity to actually make this community run well. But we want everybody to be there who have similar views as us or values as us, but then come from such different backgrounds because we need every single person to fit a different role in the MEF. And I love how I see in some of these Spanish little cute little towns around here where people sit who are already older, they sit on their porch and the kids kind of run over and they're asking them questions and they're just seeing them interact. They feel so much more needed in community. And I think nowadays often retired people feel like, oh, okay, so now I don't work anymore, so I'm not needed in this community anymore. Yeah. And that's something that we don't want. And
wasn't there a study about, you might be able to correct me, but my thoughts are also I'm thinking about, but something about cigarettes and loneliness.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, that there are some bodily changes that really happen for people who feel lonely. So people who are embedded in community, they have better health. They die later on in life, and it has been shown that it's as detrimental as 15 cigarettes per day to feel lonely.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah,
to me.
Insane. Yeah.
I also agree. I want to add one last thing is because I'm thinking about my great grandmother. She's still alive, and I feel so bad because she does not have any community. She's not in a retirement home, so she's, living with my grandmother at the time, right now. But I felt so bad because when I was when we were visiting her, and I get to know her routine, and there's no social interaction at all. And you can, I also think there's probably more things that with our mental health and our mental state, and being able to remember, I don't know anything scientific, but I just feel like she can thrive so much more if she was honestly in a senior living facility that actually cared about the people there. But I also just feel like community itself would be so helpful and healing for her, and that would increase her longevity. And she would also want to be here longer if she had friends. And
let's get her over here.
I know that'd be amazing. She can teach us all Spanish.
Yes, right? I would love that.
And not to mention too, a multi-generational community, because I think it's so important. I think she would thrive around children, and we all feed off of each other's energy, and we can all benefit each other in that way. So I think that's going to be really, really cool with that maybe. Yeah.
I'll see if we can sneak her here.
Kidnap her over the pond.
Well, related to this discussion, do you have an oversight where we are in terms of young people and retired? And
that's a really good question. We do have about 88 members right now, which is really exciting. We got a lot of new members recently, about 20 of them. And we do have people from all age groups. So we have just talked to a wonderful couple today. I think they're in their early 20s. And then we have people in their 70s. So we really have a really wide range of people.
And
already
children.
in the MIF. And that's the
beyond
first
children.
88 people. We're not even 10% built, but already here you can see how many different cultures, which kind of generations. There's people who are single, there's people with families, people who just had a family join, where we had one person join somebody that I already consider a dear friend, and then her sister joined with her kid and her husband, and then their mom joined, and so it's that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and as for kids too, we would say the ages range from 2 to the teens, right?
To the teens,
we've got
actually
up to 17, 18.
Yeah. And we already from those 88, we have about 20 kids. So,
wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and that you're right. This is just a small percentage. Just wait till you get up to 500. Families.
Very true. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all feeling very blessed about living in a community like this, and looking forward to it.
Yes,
us too.
I'm looking forward to it. Please join. We can always use more. I almost went to the camera, but I was gonna say we are so happy. We're always happy to welcome anyone who's curious about the community and who's living here, or what to expect, or what they can bring, or how we can work together. So, we are happy to welcome you.
Very true, into our cute little community.
All right. I think that's a wrap. All right.